haven't seen our previous shows, that we as African Americans are collateral damage. And so to see, if you will, a picture of mostly Black African Americans on that clip standing up to say, hey, we're going to walk out on that transgender issue. And I don't know that our community is personally as focused on that particular issue as we see those legislators walk out. And does it make sense to the culture? That's kind of where we're at. That's what it makes me think. I'll shut up and let you jump in first, Emil, and get Leo's thoughts on it as well.
So the history of Black people in America is that we're always collateral damage, even when we're the primary target. So this is probably one of the challenges that those legislators face, that I don't think this was the right way to solve the problem, right? There are thousands, tens of thousands of people whose lives are being affected by other issues around which they could have galvanized themselves and walked out to make a giant statement about equality, about diversity, equity, and inclusion, about how resources are being distributed in the state. So the optics of this, in my opinion, do not lend themselves to the African-American voter saying, they stood on principle for me. They stood on principle, but did they stand on principle for the volume of voters who could affect the trajectory of the state and federal elections in the next cycle? And to me, that's a missed opportunity, because they chose to take a very narrow issue. And this is where the collateral damage comes in. And Montoya, I think you're absolutely right by asking that question, are we collateral damage? The answer is unequivocally yes, because what they didn't do was tell the people who put them in office that these are the issues that we will die on the hill for on your behalf. They said, no, this issue over here that affects a very small segment. And I get the reason why. It makes sense to me, but it doesn't make sense to me that that's what you chose to do, because the transgender community is probably the most victimized community in America. It is probably the most overlooked, most marginalized, most maligned, probably the most mistreated in terms of political footballs. They're the ones getting kicked back and forth and being mistreated, and all they want to be is human beings living their lives. But what I'm concerned about is, although their situation is one worthy of attention, is the attention that those legislators placed on them, the attention that's going to help them the most. And I don't believe that the transgender community, are being helped by that walkout, nor do I believe the people who put them in office to represent them are being helped by that walkout. And I think that's where the problem is. The best way for them to do their work would have been to stand on business and say, we reject this bill. It's bad. It's wrong. It's potentially.
Let's vote against it and stay in session. We're making this more than what it is. And let me say this. She says we get political theater. That was the political theater.
100%.
Go ahead, Leo.
No, I mean, you guys are covering her well. Most people know I'm a former Republican strategist. We formerly worked for Georgia GOP, worked for the RNC. And there's strategy behind this. And, I want to make the theme of my talk with you brothers today, do Democrats learn? Because did we not just go through this where all the Dems said Kamala Harris was going to win? It looked like it was hers to lose. There's all kinds of other issues. But do we not recall that there was one big commercial that Republicans and Republican PACs played over and over again, knowing as she was getting all that momentum, as that music was boom, 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 those Beyonce tunes and stuff were being played. She had everything going for it. But then the Republicans hit her with that gender-affirming care bill that she passed in 2016, and they played that thing over and over, and her voting stuff started to plummet with young people, with men, with just moderates, independents. It just started to plummet. Now Democrats go, and didn't they see that she was supposed to say, I no longer believe that? Just like when Obama wisely, smart Obama went, I've evolved on marriage equality, right? He's a politician. He's a smart man. That was smart. He played to a wider base who was concerned about that issue at the time. Not that it wasn't so small. She and the Democrat strategists who continue to like advise Democrats to do stuff like that walkout, stand up, be counted, fight, fight, fight. They don't have that edge, brother. And that is a problem. That's why young brothers, young people who want to say, can you get as mad as Republicans about some issues and stand up for what you believe? So if you believe in this issue on principle so much, right, stay there, fight so that you can be counted. Because now what's going to happen, let me play this forward. Okay. People, history can teach, and I don't understand why Democrats aren't paying attention to history. You lost a campaign because Republicans killed you with the issue of transgender surgery in prisons. Okay? Now, that is why the Republican legislature threw that bill into the floor in the first place. They don't care whether it's ever happened. It doesn't matter if it has ever happened. They did it to see what you would do and then to let your constituents see what you're playing for. They wanted black voters who usually vote for Dems to see, they ain't care about you. They ain't like you. They're playing with some elitist kind of highbrow kind of concepts that don't really have much to do with whether or not you can pay for the price of eggs, get gas in your car, get a good education, get a tax break. That's not what the Dems are fighting for. They're fighting for little issues like that they say, this is a little issue, it shouldn't matter. Then why don't you just sit there and go, no, because it doesn't matter. Then you're on record for voting against it. But you know what I'm going to tell my Republican candidate, Emil? If I get a candidate that's running, it's hard to find good ones that aren't crazy. But if I get one that isn't crazy, I'm saying, look, you're going to attack that Democrat by saying this person didn't vote no on this transgender issue. That's how much. And Dems just walked into another trap, not learning jack.